everyone. Welcome to Airing It Out. It is your girl Fuller, and I'm excited because we have an amazing guest today that has so much to share with you to help us through the things that we've been talking about. If this is your first time being on Airing It Out is a place where different people come in to make a difference, to inspire you, to inspire your week, to inspire your day, to inspire your life, so that we move forward and heal some of the things that we've been going through. Instead of just putting them under the rug, we're going to heal them. So today we are blessed to have Miss Candace Sims, who is a bereavement counselor,
coordinator,
and a grief coach, right? I got that right? And a grief coach. But let me tell y'all this, first of all, just a little fast forward. He's amazing. The story I shared with you guys about gun violence. This is the young lady that I spoke of that saved me pretty much. I'm just going to be real about it. She was an angel for me that I felt that was sent from God. So I had to share it with you guys because I know a lot of you out here are grieving as well. There are things that are happening that you've lost people doing gun violence. You also lost people doing COVID. So Ms. Sims is going to just give us some things to help us in her coaching mechanism. Ms. Sims, take the floor.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that introduction. I am definitely not worthy of those accolades that you give to me, but I appreciate that so much. I don't even know where to begin. It's just so much to talk about in so little time. Yes. But for those who don't know me, I am Candace Sims, and I am a grief coach, and I am a bereavement coordinator. And when I share with people that I'm a bereavement coordinator, the first thing people say is, "What is that?"
Yes, please explain. Yes.
Who coordinates bereavement? But we have to take care of ourselves whenever we endure a loss. If you work on a job and you experience a loss, your job gives you bereavement time off. But for the most part, most jobs only give you 3 days. And we know as a people that it takes more than 3 days to maneuver through all of the emotions, the pain, and the turmoil that just flipped your life upside down. For me, that happened back in 2007 when I lost my son. He was 22 years old to gun violence. He was murdered in his apartment. And at that time, April 8th, it was on Easter. So I was on my way to pick him up for dinner, and that's what I rolled up on, is police cars, the coroner's van, and people standing out there. And I just felt this pit in my stomach. It felt like I was driving in slow motion as I was approaching his unit coming through the gate. And I know I wasn't going in slow motion, but it just felt like I was going in slow motion. And everything in me was saying, "It's Marcus, it's Marcus, it's Marcus." And everything in my mind was telling me, "It's not Marcus, it's not Marcus." So I'm already having this internal struggle about what I'm about to experience. And so of course, when I got there, I couldn't get any closer than just where I parked my van. And I think it hit me when they rolled him out of the apartment with the white sheet draped across him. And that is what really sent me over the edge.
I can only imagine, and our hearts go out for you, Ms. Sims.
Thank you. And so it's different for everyone. Everyone has a story to tell behind the mourning and the sorrow of their grief. And I think the intensity of the pain, it comes in different ways. So it's not the same for everyone. So if you are a coordinator of grief and bereavement, it's so important to be able to listen to your clients and to listen so that you can understand where the pain is coming from, because it's not a one size fits all solution to each person's pain. And you have to be willing, and you have to be able to be present and to go to some places that may trigger some grief for you. If you're afraid to cry with your client, if you're afraid to ask those deep, tough questions, that could be the key to help them overcome that obstacle that's keeping them from being great, then this line of profession is not for you. And I had to learn that. One of my biggest things when I studied to become a grief coach, I actually backed out because I told my professor, I can't do this. I said, I'm the biggest crybaby in the world, and who's gonna want to have a coach that cries all the time? My professor was like, you're the prime candidate. That's what we need. Someone who can engage and someone who can lean into the pain. And so still was kind of apprehensive about it. And then maybe about a week or so later, the textbooks just showed up at my door. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I can't believe he just sent these. I haven't paid for anything, And so he's like,
you're supposed to be.
Yeah. He says, don't even worry about the tuition right now. He says, just do it. Just do it. He says, if this is meant for you, if this is your assignment, the money is going to come. And he was right. He was right. And so now something that became a purpose for me through the loss of my son is now a passion. I love doing what I do because I love taking people from their pain to their purpose. And it's a process. And the one thing that I do tell people is trust the process. Trust the process. And I'm very, very grateful to say that in this line of work and doing what I do, I've had the opportunity to be an executive director of a nonprofit crime victim advocacy council. I've had the opportunity to work with district attorneys across the state of Georgia, superior court judges, administration in the Department of Paroles and Pardons. And I mean, this my purpose, this thing that happened to me has been able to take me places that I would normally not be able to go. So it's been a blessing, which started out as a curse has now became a blessing. And I'm so, so grateful for what I do.
Amen.
Yeah.
So being from that night when everything was happening, as time went forward and you healing, like what was in your head? Like, can you share with that? Because I think a lot of people don't know how to identify with the feelings that they're having when these things are happening to them to get them to that better thing. Like, the things you did for me, because I still had my own crap from my past that was mounting on top of now this grief. Can you help us with that a little bit?
Absolutely. There's so many resources out there to help teach us and to help make us aware about what our body goes through and what our body does whenever we experience traumatic experiences. But it's our human nature to tend to not want to lean into it, because for whatever reason, it's hard, it's difficult. Some people may even think that, to learn about it is wishing it upon you, and it's like, okay, I want to learn about death and I don't want to learn about, burying my, funeral expenses and all that, because I don't want to wish that on me, and so we don't even go there. But when it happens, it's just like you're paralyzed. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to think. You don't really understand that it triggers other adverse experiences that happened in your past that you haven't dealt with. And sometimes it could be those past triggers that you're dealing with more so than the current event that has happened right now. And so that even confuses it even more, It's like, I don't know if I'm coming or going. I don't know whether to do this or to do that. And and you got people watching you and wondering, poor girl, oh my goodness, she's gonna lose it. Like, we need to pray for her.
Yeah.
Yes, please pray for me. But also learn how to utilize the resources that help you navigate through those stages of grief that come upon you, there's so many stages now, but there are
Wasn't it
five
originally
basic.
like 12? No? Is it 12
They're
stages?
probably anywhere between 8 to 12, but there are five primary stages of grief that everyone will go through. And let me say this, grief isn't only the loss of a loved one. Grief can be going through a difficult divorce. Grief can be losing a job. Grief can be losing your income. Grief could be seeing your house go up in flames. Grief can come in many different shape, form, or fashions, but you will always go through shock. That's what you initially go through. Then denial usually follows very, very closely. Anger will come. You have to deal with the anger. The guilt will come. If only I had done this, if only I hadn't done that, and you start bargaining, trying to make yourself believe that you could have changed the situation with a decision that you should have made, that you couldn't have made, because if you would have made it, you would have made that decision. And then acceptance is usually, they say, is the final stage in grief. But now we're learning in this world of bereavement is that once you find acceptance, you typically move toward meaning. There's meaning of it all. So once you've accepted this thing that has happened in your life that has rocked your world, you know that your son is not going to come through that door and give you that bear hug and ask you what you cooking today. Once you've accepted that, then you move toward meaning. Okay, so now what am I going to do with this? How am I going to honor him? How am I going to help others? And that's typically what you go through and you may go through several stages at one time, and they don't necessarily come in that order.
Right.
But initially, shock will be the first thing. And it's so funny that we're talking about this, because whenever I'm watching the news or if I'm watching the first 48 or whatever, I tend to look at people's reaction whenever they hear that news. And it's always that shock, that fainting, that losing your footing, dropping to your knees, the screams, the wails, it comes out in different forms. And so it's always important to be able to have people in your circles that you can talk to about what's going on, so that you'll learn how to navigate through those emotions. Because if you don't deal with the grief will definitely deal with you.
Amen to that. That is so true. I can attest to that, because grief had pretty much eaten me up. I feel, into the point that, when we met, the grief was, unbearable to me to carry at times in my life, and I was beginning to pick up crutches that I did not need, but I was picking them up because I wasn't dealing with the grief. So all of you that are listening, it's important that we deal with grief. It's important that we process it. And it takes time to heal. It does. But give yourself that time to heal. Ms. Sims will tell you that is very important, that we take time to heal.
Yeah. And let me say this too, if I could.
Yeah, sure.
For those of you who are listening, grief is very hard to talk about. A lot of times when people already know me as the grief lady, the death lady, soon as somebody dies, oh, I'm going to call Candace. Candace will know what to say, and I'm grateful for that. But I also have to tell them too that, because this is what I do and I love to do it, that person may not be ready to talk about what they're going through. So it may take months until they give me a call. It may take a year, and that's okay. And that's typical. I understand that. So yes, give them the resource, but also know too that dealing with it is sometimes not immediate. And I also want to say this too, that grief is two things. It's two things. Number one, it's necessary. And number two, it's a distraction. And let me explain what I mean by both of those. Grief is necessary because I think a lot of times life, society, this culture teaches us to walk with this tough skin, to not show emotion, to not let people see you cry, to not, don't be telling our business, keep our business right here in this house, and what does that do? It makes the house more toxic,
Yes. Yes.
and so grief is necessary because it humanizes us. It keeps us from being robotic. It keeps us from being mechanical. It keeps us from being full of rhetoric. Grief, it breaks us down to our core, and it forces us to deal with those things that mess with us. So it's necessary. If you haven't learned yet that crying is strength and it cleanses, that when grief happens to you, it's going to be tough for you to deal with it. So get it now. Grief is necessary. And so grief is also a distraction too, because before grief happens, I think everyone has plans, everyone has goals, everyone has something that they're striving to reach and to attempt. But when that grief happens, it's like everything stops. So grief is a distraction, and we can't let it be a distraction, because if you don't deal with the grief will rob you too of life. And you can't let that happen. You have to learn how to manage your grief while you're still working on your goals and working on your dreams and working on your visions. And so that's why it's important to have your bereavement coordinated. That's why I love calling myself a bereavement coordinator, because I don't want your life to stop. I want your life to keep going in spite of what you're dealing with right now.
I love it. I love it because God gave us all life to live. He wanted you to live. So we got to.
And who comes to steal, kill, and destroy? And no, we're not going to let that happen. We're going to deal with this real thing that just happened, but it's not going to kill me until it happens to me.
Amen. And my thing is, like with all of you guys, that's the purpose of airing it out. Is because we bring you people that have tools to help you through these things. Not just me and not just Miss Sims, but there are so many of us, as we always discuss, the globe is going through something. We're in a crisis. So we have to send the firefighters out, which is Miss Sims, myself, and others that have joined us in this crusade to help all of you out there. So at the end of this video, make sure you look, because I will have Mrs. Sims' credentials so that you'll be able to get in touch with her or anybody that you know that may just need that bereavement coordinator to come in and help. Because believe me, it's not something you want to do alone. I'm not going to say you can't do it alone, because some people choose to, but it's not something you should want to do alone. You should want those tools and those things to help you get through this thing so that you can live that life that was meant for you to live. Because like Ms. Sims just told you, it's a distraction. I know it hurts, but it's really a distraction.
And it's necessary.
And it's necessary. And
sometimes that distraction is necessary, so it forces you to deal with it, you know. And then, you'll find that you need to deal with some stuff that you buried alive,
Yes.
So let's deal with that too while we're here. Let's knock out two birds with one stone. So that's why
you guys, I will be transparent. I know, Ms. Sims, I know you always say that I give you too much credit, but I do give God credit because he made this happen. He let this happen for me to meet Ms. Sims. But I will give credit to me going through that process. I don't think that I would be sitting here having this show or stepping out on faith to let God lead me to be able to help the people that I'm helping now? I don't think so, because I would have been caught up in my grief and letting my grief, as Miss Sims say, do me, instead of me doing what I needed to dissect it and put the things in place that need to be in place. So you guys, I'm encouraging you, I challenge you to try something different, to make sure that you move forward to be the difference that you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And Latanya, I'm so proud of you, because I remember the very first time that we met, and we wasn't talking about no podcast when we met, you know. But you know, I saw something in you, you know, that was useful, that was beneficial, that was valuable, you know, that I was gonna fight to not let that die in you.
You fought a good fight.
We fought. And look at you
we
now.
did. And we still fight. You're right. That wrestle. But I thank you for wrestling with me. Thank you.
And I'm so glad you created this platform, because this is what we need to be looking at on social media.
Yes.
You know, something that's going to feed us, something that's good for the soul, that's going to stick to our bones, you know, something that's not a fad, that's going to just disappear in a year, a month, or whatever, something that's going to stick. We need this on social media. So I applaud you. My hat is off to you. Thank you for providing this. I'm so grateful
to God that He gives me the strength to do it, because it's not as easy as everybody think it is, because I am still human and I still have my days and I'm still in my healing process. But I'm so glad that, you know, He gave me the tools and the resources to better me, to strengthen me, that I am able to come in and do the things that I'm doing now. So thank you. And I thank God too.
Yes. Wow.
So Ms. Sims, can you give us some good, you gave it, don't give us, we love what you gave us, but can you give us something that we can use in our lives daily, weekly, you know, a tool that, you know, some of our audience may just need, because some of us are not as rapid as others. So we don't want to leave nobody out. We want to do whatever we can to start giving tools. I know you guys got your pen. I ain't worried about that in your paper. And you're ready for Ms. Sims to start talking. So again, so you've already been taking notes, right? I know you have. You're not going to be worried about that, because I know my Airin and Out Nation, they ready for this. All right.
Wow. So three things I want you to take away. Three things. The first thing is, grief is the price we pay for love. That's the first thing. Grief is the price we pay for love. And what I mean by that is, don't stifle your grief, because when you're grieving, what you're doing is showing the world how much you loved that person that you lost. So grief is the price we pay for love. The second thing is, grief will teach you how to live better. Grief will teach you how to live better. It sounds like an oxymoron, because when you think about grief, all you're thinking about is crying and depression and not wanting to get up out of the bed. But grief will teach you how to live better. And then number three is, grief comes in many different forms. Allow people to grieve the way they need to grieve. Don't tell people how long they need to grieve. Don't tell people, okay, you've been here now for a year, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just get over it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Grief comes in many different ways, and you don't know what that grief is waking up in that person. You have no idea. So let people grieve. Listen, just listen to them. Don't think you always have to have the answers. None of us have the answer. I have the answer for my own grief. Latanya, you have the answer for your own grief. Don't come to someone, this is what I'm going to tell them, and this is what they need to hear. And no. Just listen. Grief comes in many different forms.
Amen. I like that. Look, you guys, I wrote that down too. So I'm gonna need y'all. Y'all know when we get these tools, we build toolboxes. This is some more tools for your toolboxes. because
Yeah.
you don't have these toolboxes. It's hard to function. You
Mhm.
know, some tools are not new tools. They're just old tools we have not used. You got to blow them
Dust them off. Dust them off. Yep.
because you need them.
Yep.
All right, you
Yep.
guys, I know that you always want us to stay longer than we can stay, but that means you just got to come on back in and see what's next on Airing It Out. Miss Sims, I know we're going to see you again because you're coming back, right? We're going to go ahead and give you the invite
Absolutely.
now because I
Aw.
already know they're going to be raving for you to come back because you gave
Anytime.
great insight today. And I thank you for that. We thank you for being a guest. To all you guys out there, you know that I love you, Miss Sims love you, and God loves you even more. And there's nothing you can do about it. You should not even want to do anything about that. We thank you again, Ms. Sims, for joining us. To all you guys out there, stay productive, stay rebuilding you. No busy work, because you might be busy doing nothing, and that ain't what we do, right? All
Love
right,
that.
I'll see you the next time on Airing It Out, my Airing It Out Nation. Come back and see us again. Don't forget, share, subscribe, comment. We want to hear what you got to say. All right? Have a good one. And I'll see y'all the next time on Airing It Out with Fuller.